Hi guys, name is Ali. I'm technical director of the TFA EPC, which is a third division team playing in Dubai. I'm also founder, creator of the Football Academy Dubai. I'd like to start the podcast really by explaining I'm just a normal guy. I'm not smarter than anybody. I'm not a genius of any sort. I'm just a guy that's been in football for a very, very long time. We're doing this podcast to give you guys inside football. So this program is called Inside Football, to give potential football players or hungry football players the chance to look at football from the inside. Okay, I've been in and out of football for probably 45 years, and I've seen a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. I'd like to share the experience with football players because the number one question we get asked is, how do I become a professional football player? So this is me. I'm going to be the host. We'll be releasing one of these every week. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you question us. I hope you interact with us, and I hope it will be a success.
And my name is Amir. I'm a social media expert, and our goal with Ali here, as Ali said, is to expand the knowledge about football because we receive thousands of requests every day, and as Ali said, all of them asking for one thing and one thing only is how to become a professional football player. So Ali definitely has an experience, and I'm here will be like a voice of yours. So if you have any questions, you can leave them, and later on in our next podcast, in our next videos, I will be asking your questions to the Ali, so he will give you all the answers. So let's just to give a head start, just to have a picture, the global picture about football. What do you think, how many there are total players who are already playing and how many of them are pro, just to have a clear picture of what are the chances?
Yeah, I mean, look, in the first episode, we would like to talk about the pitch of football. I always tell potential football players, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but trust nobody in football, including me. It's very important for young football players to understand the business of football, or to understand how football works. The numbers are staggering. Me and you did a quick Google search this morning.
Yeah, we did.
250 million people play organized football. Okay, that's across the world. It's called the people's game for a reason. The World Cup is here soon, so of course that creates new generation of potential football players. But 250 million turns into 130,000 professionals. So I think that's under 0.2 according to Google percentage.
It's like 4 zeros after the comma.
Yeah. It's a crazy statistic. Yet the demand and the hunger to get into the professional game is huge. As we mentioned on a lot of our TikTok videos, this Da Vinci fucking code that everybody wants to hide in football, the secret sauce that nobody wants to tell you. So if you're a potential football player and you have no idea how to become a professional football player, what can you do? So this is really the whole idea of this concept. I keep repeating on the videos, I come into the spotlight. I've been out of the spotlight all my career. Okay, I never played a very high level of football because of everything we're going to talk about. But I'm lucky enough to work with now players who've been at the professional game. Our coach is an ex-professional. So we have an insight. But yeah, this is the whole point of this exercise. 250 million to 120,000, 130,000.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So just to have a picture, 250 million, it's not the total amount of players playing. There's more than 2 billion. The 250 million is playing organized, right?
Organized football.
So these are players are already on their way to make it pro, but only 130,000 made it pro. So the next question is, what's the difference between them? How to get from this 250 million or like 2 billion in total to this small percentage to 130,000 of people playing pro?
I mean, of course, look, there's no one answer to this question. It's a very long question that can give us many, many episodes we're going to talk about. First of all, I'd like to explain this paradox of football, because the reality is every football club in the world, okay, if you take outside the top 50, okay, the business model is find the next superstar and sell him for millions. Okay?
Absolutely, yeah.
But there is no process and it's not open for all. So that's the paradox of football. To answer your question, from my experience working with the boys, even the boys we have now in the team, I call it stickability, okay, to stick to it. Because the reality is to go from 250 million to 130,000, it's a huge mountain. So what happens is a lot of people drop off the mountain. And the more they drop off, the more that increases the chances of the guys that don't. We have boys that have signed up with us that are ex-Tottenham, for example. He's 25. He's stuck to it, which is why now he is playing some kind of professional football. Stickability, I'd say, is the number one thing, is that you have to continue to try. I think me and you were talking this morning about the Griezmann story.
Yeah.
Griezmann was rejected in every club in France, under 14, for being too small. So his parents took him to Spain, and he played professional football.
And a World Cup winner now. Yeah.
By 2018, he was in the World Cup final. So somebody in France got it wrong.
Yeah. So I remember you also mentioned to me that there's a difference in terms of the plan. So some players they have a pure talent, they're diamonds, they're Rolexes, but they don't have a plan. So what's the plan, how it works? Maybe you have some experiences, the stories.
Yeah, I mean, look, the number one thing I hear is he was lucky.
Mm-hmm.
He was lucky he made it as a football player. He was lucky he made it. You cannot go from 250 million to 130,000 because you're lucky. My definition of luck is what we call prepared meets opportunity.
Yeah, I like this phrase, yeah.
It's not my phrase. I wish there are a lot smarter guys that said that. But we as humans call it lucky. You know, I always like to use the example of the lottery ticket. A guy wins the lottery and they tell you he was lucky, he won the lottery. No, that guy bought a ticket every week. Very rarely do you hear a guy bought a ticket once and won the lottery. Football is kind of similar. If you're not trying quite regularly, you don't make it. Okay? If you're not prepared, so as in you have talent and you excel at football, if the opportunity comes, you don't make it. And if you excel at football and don't go looking for the opportunity, you still don't make it. So it is that. So you're talking about the plan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So again, depends on what age you are football.
Mm-hmm.
You know? If you're a young football player, there is a system you follow. Okay? Now, if you look at football in general, what's the system? For example, I grew up in England. Okay? In England, they select the football players at the schools. Same in Serbia, same in Russia. They look at football players at young ages. And you get into the football system. But some people don't like football when they're young.
Yeah.
So they're not in the system. Okay? But yeah, you have to have a plan when you're young. Get into the good club, get into a good academy, find good coaches, play for good teams. If you're older, it's agents. And that's a whole different episode we'll talk about football agents. So yeah, a plan. You know, you can't have all the talent in the world, but if you're sitting in, one of my players is from the Solomon Islands.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to use that example. If you're in the Solomon Islands and you're Messi and nobody knows about you, how are you going to become a professional football player?
Also, I think that one thing that can distract a lot of players from their dream is because the dream and the goal is too big, but they don't see the small steps to this goal. So I remember you told me about you got to be in the 3%. You got to be best in your small circle, and then this circle goes bigger. So can you share about that?
Yeah, I think, look, a reality check is always needed with football players.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of football players think they're very good. The reality is very good is not enough. Okay? So I spoke to a college coach in America, you know, because we were involved very much in taking players into the US scholarship route. And he explained it very, very well, the 3% rule in football. So basically, you've got to be one of the best 3 players in your school. Okay, if your school has 500 kids, 1,000 kids, if you're not one of the best 3, let's say the best 10, then you're not that good a football player. You know?
Unfortunately.
Okay, if you are, because there's late bloomers, you know, then you become the best 3 in the academy, the best 3 in the club, the best 3 in the national team. That's the 3% rule in football. So that's a realistic yardstick to use. Am I a good football player? Listen, guys, good is not good enough. You'll hear it from me, you'll hear it from every coach, you'll hear it from every academy. Good in football is not good enough simply because of the numbers. You know, joking aside, if you're playing handball, it's easier. But this is football. 250 million players who think they're good.
Of course, we are talking about the general system. There are always an example of like players like Jamie Vardy, who made it like a pro at 23 or 24 something.
24,
yeah. But generally, yeah. So let's say if I feel, all right, I'm realistic. We have a school, we have 1,000 people, and I'm not in top 5, not even top 10. What should I do to get there? Because I'm still dedicated.
Look, well, like we said, the good thing about football, it's called the people's game. Because in football, we don't need equipment. Okay, you need a football.
Yeah.
Okay, and most places in the world, you can buy football for very little money. So if you practice on your own quite regularly, okay, you can improve as a football player. So if you're not in the school team at the age of 8, you can still make the school team at the age of 12 or 14 or 15. So what you can do is a ball on a wall, we call it as a coach. Just practice, because football is what we call repetitive muscle for sport. So yeah, you can work technically on your own, but realistically it's a team sport. So once you've improved yourself technically, you need to get into a program, academy, club. Every village in the world has a coach. Okay,
Yes.
Find a good coach, work with a good team, and you keep improving.
Yeah, I think it's also very important. You told me from day one, good people do good business and you develop. I think in football it matters more than in anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean in every business, but in football we'll do an episode, the good and the bad people in football. Finding good people in football is critical. Okay, whether it's a good coach, a good mentor, a good agent, a good investor, good people that want you to succeed as a football player, not make money off you as a football player. This is very interesting. There's people, especially in the poorer continents, that specialize in manipulating players. And we'll talk about that another time. But good people, yes, of course, in any business, but in football it's critical.
And I also think guys need to remember that obviously it's very important to find correct people, right people in the right place and right time, but you have still take 95% of responsibility on yourself. I gotta be better, I gotta develop, and as you said, prepared meets opportunity. That's when you meet good people, but by the time you meet good people, you already gotta be best 3% in your circle.
Yeah, I mean, look, as a human being, you can always improve. Okay, so football is, there's 4 sectors in football that you have to always improve on. We'll talk about this as we go along. Psychology, the breaker in football. Technical ability, we talked about. Tactical ability and physical ability. Okay, physically you can always improve. Okay, tactically you can always improve. Technically you can always improve, and psychologically you can always improve. So that continuous improvement is what makes you that 3% we talked about. And I think you said a point that I need to talk about, which is about finding the correct people. Okay, we said at the beginning of this episode, trust nobody. Yeah, you have to learn the business, or you have to know people that know the business. Hopefully this podcast will help people. Okay, listen to this objectively. We don't want you to follow me. I'm not giving you the gospel, but use your brains, understand what we're saying, and follow it.
Also, just to give a quick preview of what is coming, because it's only our first episode, basically, we just generally in this episode, we share who we are, what we do, and what you're going to get, how it's going to help you. Just to get excitement for our viewers, we're going to have some agents, some physios, psychologists. So basically, we will have everyone who can help you improve in every specific niche. Here in this studio, we'll have ex-pro players, professional coaches, and everyone else, and they will dive deep into each topic one by one.
Yeah, I mean, inside football, And again, we're not the only people doing this across the world. But for Dubai and for this region, okay, it's an up-and-coming market. And people need guidance. That's all we're trying to do here. We're trying to give you the insight. So we'll get ex-pro players, current players, agents, physios, like you said, anybody that can give you an insight into your career choice, you should listen to.
And also, I think the difference between us and other football-related podcasts / videos will be that we are targeting your problem and trying to find a solution, not only sharing our experience. Oh, it was fun, it was terrible, and that's it. So we will have a conclusion after each episode, and you can implement, you watch the video, you go outdoors, you go to the internet, you can implement that knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're very conscious, both of us, that we want to give people a learning point. Today's learning point is understand the business you're entering. Okay, because of course, the World Cup is a great example. Everybody wants that glorious thing. Okay, I think 3.5 billion watched the last World Cup. Yeah.
Crazy numbers.
Who doesn't want to be on that stage? Okay, but to get to that stage, what it takes to get to that stage. Again, this is something I'm digressing, but one of my most hated sentences is footballers get paid too much. With these numbers, no, they don't get paid too much. The guys that make it 100% deserve what they get. You're telling me Mohamed Salah doesn't deserve the contract he's got? 1 billion Egyptians play football. There's one Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
So that's nonsense.
And we'll try to do our best so you can get into those people who will be on the stage, on the spotlight. And basically, of course, most of the thing depends on you, but we are here to give you these insights that Ali got from his experience, because even if you have a pure talent, you met the right people, one wrong conversation, one wrong decision can ruin everything. So we'll prevent that, and we'll help to prevent that as well.
Yeah, look, there's sadly thousands of people manipulating this system. Okay, they know the desire, they know what people want to pay to get into this, and right across the world, there's programs, there's scams. We'll talk about it as we go along. In my 10 years as a coach, the stories I've seen and what I've heard is why I'm doing this. Because it's not fair. It's not fair. And I've always said that. Look, I'm no saint. Of course, I have to run a club and I have to be commercially successful. I have to run an academy. I have to be commercially successful to do this, to survive.
Yeah.
But there's no excuse for manipulating people's dreams. And what these guys do is they cash into your dream. They know how much you want to be in that World Cup stage. They know how much you want to play for Barcelona, how much you want to play for Real Madrid. And they create these schemes just to cash into that dream. And it's terrible, terrible.
And some of these schemes are not really smart enough, but because you have a dream, you are desperate. You go blindly, you believe by words, you don't even need papers. And that's really unfortunate because in other niches, like for example, crypto is very popular right now. People are really making very smart schemes to scam people there because people, it's not easy to give your own money to a stranger. But in football, I've noticed, and from the stories Alif shared, it's crazy.
Yeah. They look. They scam you because you want to be scammed. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
They know the buttons to press. They know what to say. Look, I've been on trials where there's scams. I've played semi-pro. I'm a coach, and I've been on 1 or 2 trials when I knew as soon as I arrived, I said, it's a scam.
So you've been scammed?
I've been scammed, 100%.
You was a victim.
100%. With my players. And it's a terrible feeling because you've taken 3 boys that want to achieve this dream, and you're thinking, oh God, what is this? Yeah, we'll talk about it. There's plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I think for today's episode, we've shared enough for today about us, about what we're going to do and what's coming. That's the most exciting part. And we're looking forward for the next episodes because we're going to have a lot of more things. Today we didn't dive specifically in anything, just for you to have a clear picture of what is it, what did you get, and what you will get from the next episodes. But many exciting things because I'm with Ali for quite a long time now, and the stories he shared are really exciting. They're really interesting, and I've learned a lot from those stories, even though I'm not a football player, but it's interesting to know them. And if you are the football player and you know these stories, they can save you the money, they can save you the career, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, you said it well, but just to finish this segment, we know when we come into the spotlight and start talking about these things, we're going to get a lot of positive and negative reaction. Bring it on. Yeah, please. Comment, question us. As I said at the beginning, no problem. Question us. Give us your questions, give us your comments. We'll answer them to our best of our ability. Okay?
Yes.
We are just 2 normal guys who love football and are inside the game.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
It was a great experience. See you in the next episode, guys.